Welcome back to the Masters of Material. My name is Virtual, and today we are going to review the Town of the Prince, which is a major step up from every deed we've reviewed up to now. Grill, let's get right into it.
Let's do this. The Town of the Prince, starting with the plot map.
I'll say of all the builds that I've made, this is my favorite one. A few reasons for that. So this is the only deed with these 10 by 10 decorative plots. I spent some time kind of thinking, what can I do to make these kind of special? So I made them all as Vox statues. So we have a Minotaur Classic, we have a dragon, we have a troll with tongue out, and we have a buck deer. So we'll have a better look at those later, but they really add to this town, and kind of those are like the main attractions per se. The other thing is the Town of the Prince is very spacious. So everything feels very, very grand. That and the fact that it also has two grand buildings certainly helps with that. In this case, we have a grand inn and a grand tavern. So you're getting the top tier tavern, so top tier foods, and you're also going to have the largest amount of tavern games. And, the Grand Inn is going to give you very high tier hit point restoration and can also add to that food production or food supply, I should say. The next thing is that you have 4 large by large. And continuing with the previous trend, I made all the large buildings different to try to show a good as variety of potential larges as possible. So here we have a large tannery, Stonecraft shop, archery, and woodshop. To complement all of these buildings, we have the 10 by 10s and 5 by 5s that typically are not included in the larges and the grands. So the forge outfitter, potion shop, and jeweler, and then the clusters of other ones, cemetery and temple, which are typically together, armor, weapon shop, and then the bottom right, you have kind of the 4 supply chains for food: butchery, dairy, bakery, and brewery. And when you first enter the Town of the Prince, you have a nice little market area too with 12 5x5s. So you kind of get a little bit of everything. The thing that I like honestly about, other than the Vox statues, is the house. I find the house very, very pretty. And on the inside of this house, of all of the houses, because this is the first majestic house plot, so it's literally the largest interior of any house. The Town of the Archduke is also a majestic plot, but it's a round building. And a round building within a square or within a rectangular plot can only be as large as the 20 by 20 plot total. So it won't be much larger from a square meters perspective or area perspective than that of, say, the Town of the Duke's house.
Yeah, I really like the layout. This is probably my favorite layout of any deed. Like you said, the space, how symmetrical it is, the fancy decorations. This one's like really nice to walk around in.
I think you knocked it out of the park with the Voxes. Excited to showcase those.
The Voxes are like the best. Let's take a little further look. So this is the initial flattened out kind of space that we created to place this deed. And you see the outside walls, and now you have the walls being built up. And you have the house that I think is completed or close to complete in the back, and then kind of the outline of all the buildings. And here's a full completed version with everything laid out and built. You can kind of see the Vox statues there in the background. We'll get to those here. So this is the beginning of the construction. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So after building the house, the next thing I did was trying to take advantage of these Vox statues. So my kind of proof of concept was trying to build a dragon, being the rarest of the Mirandus Vox. I figured that should take the center place. And I kept a similar kind of theme to the other Vox statues as well. So the front statues are all based on their highest tier rarity, being, the Minotaur and the Troll with Tongue Out. And there's also a 10 by 10 decorative plot in the back, which is in the farming area, which I think is kind of in a strange place to have the decorative plot, kind of off by itself, but that one's for the highest tier deer as well. So all the highest tier Vox statues. And I tried to make them as accurate as possible. This one here, you see the eyes are made of wood. Those were later upgraded to actual like lamps, so they glow in the dark, and I think that really adds to the aesthetic. So you can see on the left there, that's a classic Minotaur.
Is that
And
Zeta's
yeah,
Minotaur?
that's exactly. So that's kind of modeled off of Zeta's Minotaur specifically. And far off to the right, you have the troll with the tongue out. You see the big wood tongue and the three toes on each foot as well. So, and you looking at the Minotaur, you know, he's got some serious wood. So
I was gonna say he's packing some serious wood as well.
Zeta chose wisely on that one, I think. No, so this is the upgraded. As I mentioned, I upgraded the wood to these kind of ever glowing lamps, and the still image doesn't really give you the full aspect, but the kind of the glow from that, especially at nighttime, really gives a feel to it. And this was one of the earlier builds that was made before we had the upgraded signs. So the new build, everything is laid out as well, and all these statues and all the buildings are all in this new, easy to see neon size, which gives even better illumination to the deed. Yeah, I really like the Vox statues. Initially, I was going to actually make a roadway underneath the legs of the dragon directly into the prince's house, but the camera views weren't very good, and you kind of lose the view of the prince's house going in. But it was kind of a cool idea initially.
You definitely weren't making a road under the Minotaur, that's for sure.
Yeah, no, nothing's getting through under there. That's for sure.
Fun fact: I was on the On-Chain Gaming Discord when they had the whole Vox box launch, which was Mirandus, which was a disaster. But anyways, some kid, I think he was like 19 or 20, pulled one of the dragons and was freaking out because somebody offered him over $1 million, which was benefactor, and he wisely took the money and ran. So I love seeing those kind of wins.
Yeah, I think it was like $2 or $3 million in the end, right?
There was two that were purchased. One was for over $1 million. The last one, the highest one, was like $5 million, I think.
It's a lot of Pepe coin.
It's a lot of Pepe. So here is like another shot, a different angle, kind of looking downwards at the same completed 3 creature Vox.
Yeah, I don't have the deer in here. We'll see it in the video. So here's kind of the front entrance. Mom is still looking for a Town of the Prince owner here. We could put somebody's name on this.
Is this the only deed we don't have?
The entrance to the Town of the Prince, there's 3 major entrances, and all of them have this kind of almost like a check-in point where they have good defensive structures. They have these 5x5 decorative plots each as well. So very picturesque deed. Like I said, my favorite by a long shot.
Yeah,
I don't know what those are called, but notice mega crossbows on top there. Right?
Ballistas, right?
One of the things I love about Valheim is the tree in the sky. That's got to be El Verdun, just showing his powers.
That's the father.
With the general trend of walls, on the plot maps, the Town of the Prince and Town of the Archduke actually have larger walls. So both of these particular deeds have ramparts to them. And one of the things when we get to the video, which we later do in the Archduke, is actually go up onto the ramparts. And it's something I forgot to do when we actually took this particular video. It's something that you should be aware that this deed has included in it.
Took like an hour to walk around on those ramparts in the Archduke. It was a couple of minutes, like without exaggerating. All right, so the front entrance. Now we have the first of the larges. You have Lord Stonecraft. Take a peek inside, see a bunch of tables, crafting things, tools, desks with plenty of money on it. The upstairs area, you can see that there's various different types of stone, block shapes, different types of stone, cut stone that people can use to upgrade their buildings or walls. Next, we have the large archery. You go inside, and it's a bigger version, basically, of any other archery.
It's like a large archery.
It's like a larger archery. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there's not that many bows in Valheim, so it's tough to add a lot more here. So you can see that there's all sorts of stuff on the wall. Again, the counter with plenty of money on it, so they're doing pretty well. They have the large wood shop. It's well stocked, multiple crafting tables, tools on the wall, well lit in here, some lanterns. You go upstairs. There's a bed in here, so this guy's got a little room for rent. Fancy desk and table to conduct business.
So the purpose of these particular shops is that you sell the products that you create. And this here has every single wooden product that you can create in Valheim up here. So this is essentially a showcase of things that are for sale that you would expect in a large building. So top tier crafting, you're going to expect all the highest tier products, and that's essentially what you're seeing up here. And the same thing for the Stonecraft shop and the others.
Large tannery. Workbench tools, a couple leather working stations, some rugs that are on display, some more tanning racks. Next, we have the Grands. These are the first Grand buildings. First, we have a Grand Inn.
So for some reason, I find this kind of looks like a pig. Maybe not so much from this angle, but where it says Grand Inn sticking out here, it kind of looks like a nose, and then you have like the two eyes for the windows and stuff. If you look from a downward perspective, I swear it looks like a pig. I didn't plan that, but I did notice it after the fact.
I think I remember you saying when we were recording the video. Inside, got a little reception desk here, tables for food, some windows, stairway leading up to the next floor. This is from behind the desk. See a little cook station there. Another table that was in the other corner. The stairway up on the left. When you come up the stairs, this is the hallway. You see there's 4 rooms. A little tough to tell from here again. You see a little more in the video. But there's 2 rooms on the left and 2 rooms on the right. And I took a picture here. This is kind of like the suite with, of course, got a hot tub, right? Because you can't have a suite without a hot tub.
You can't build anything without a hot tub in this game for sure.
Nothing says classic Valrandus like a hot tub near a window. And the other Grand we have here is a Grand Tavern. You come in here to see some tables, some fermenters, a bar, a little cook station, some nice decorative pieces on the wall.
This particular design is very similar to what you've seen in some of the Mirandus screenshots, with the barkeep 3 layers of wood going around it, the large open fireplace with the head trophy over top of it, that sort of thing. So this was all designed in the same general fashion.
You go up the steps, you see there's actually another little eating area up here, which I left out for whatever reason. But again, we'll see it in the video. You kind of see down, this is what the bottom floor looks like from up on the second part. And the house.
It's first off, it's really big. In the particular in the NFT picture, it's more kind of square shape, but the actual deed itself is a 20 by 40, which is rectangular. So I kept everything in proportion, with the exception of the central spot. I made a couple meters wider on each side to actually make it rectangular to fit the 20 by 40 plot map. That and the fact that in Valheim, the roofing can only be up 45 degrees. So you see the roofing in that NFT picture is probably like 60, 70 degrees. You can't actually do that within Valheim. So the only way to make this actually functional and actually make it, you had to design it as is. And I tried to do everything as accurate as possible. All the various windows and all the chimneys are exact. Literally all the crenulation, the merlons and stuff of the stonework is identical. All the windows are identical. The pathways up in the stairway all the way around is, spot on. So I tried to make this one as literally as accurate as I possibly could. And I think this one looks quite good.
No, I think that's pretty spot on considering the limitations.
Yeah, so this is kind of the frontal entrance. And I should also mention the Town of the Prince house has 3 different entrances. It has a main entrance on the front, and it also has 2 side entrances that we know of, potentially even entrances from the back as well. Here's the main entrance, or we'll call it the common area, with the big throne room with a fiery sword on top as well. Dual winding staircases going around to the sides, so piles of cash, not quite as much as the Duke, but we'll call it a close second. How about that?
Maybe a couple coins less.
And to add to kind of the mystique, we'll have 2 top tier armor sets glowing here in the reflections to add kind of to the general aesthetic of the prince. And you see a lot of high end tier shields in the background as well, and a lot of high end items within this place to decorate also. It's also, I should mention, 100% done in black marble. So that
Well, it's a
that kind of
prince,
gives you.
right?
Yeah, exactly. The prince, he's gonna, the opulent palace of the prince. He's living large, this guy.
Well, that's why he's got a few less coins. He had to upgrade his house to the fancy stone. Second floor here. This is up one. I think this is the staircase. If you're looking at the front door from outside, it would be on the right. Cartography table on the right side in the middle. Kind of a balcony area up here to look down at the throne room on the left. And then you see there's a staircase going up to the next floor on the far side here, which takes us into the bedroom. This is kind of when you come up. This is like the entranceway to the bedroom. You see a big fireplace there, a bed. I think, is there a cook station on the back side of that? I'm trying to remember what's on the other side of the fireplace. And then you see there's a doorway on the right.
There's a hot tub in the background.
Oh, that's right. The hot tub. I can't forget a hot tub. Come on. There's always a hot tub. Yeah, I didn't see enough windows.
There's windows back there too behind there.
Of course there is. It's got to be a hot tub by the windows.
There's a whole section back there. It's almost as big as most of the deed homes, actually.
So this is looking into that room from that doorway that was on the right. This is like the little balcony area. And then you see the deer Vox in this picture. This is the balcony behind me. When I took it, you see all the farming back there. So the ranching, a couple of 5x5s, and the other deer Vox. That is all the slides.
Let's take a look at the grands. So one of the big upgrades with the Prince is the introduction of grand building plots. Here are the 10 options that you can put in the grand plots. And the ones with the asterisks are top tiered. So yeah, the armor, cemetery, the stables, forge, the granary, the rest, or in this case, grand inn, storage, taverns, temple, and weapon. Aaelim, if you had to pick one or two, which ones would you pick as far as your grand options for getting the Prince design, but let's say in the real game?
In the real game, and let's say I didn't have any, nearby places, I would probably go with Forge, simply because, with the exception of the Citadels, Forge just has so much crafting potential and sale potential, so that really takes the effect of, armor and weapon to some extent. Definitely would not be using granary. I wouldn't be using a tavern. I'd replace that with a inn, if anything. The horses, I could possibly run that. The cemetery would be a reasonable option. That is the top tier. So, if anything, I'd probably go Forge Cemetery if I had to choose two.
I would pick those as well. And what's weird with some of these that are not top tiered, like the Forge or the armor or the weapon, I'm going to assume that if a player is looking to buy an awesome weapon or an awesome armor, very likely they're just going to go to a Citadel and buy from a Majestic Forge or a Majestic weapon. So that's what's a little bit weird with some of the grands, because they're not top tiered. But what's your thoughts on that, Grill?
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. That grands are kind of in a weird spot in that way, where obviously people who are looking to buy stuff at that level will probably just go up to the next level unless there's a significant gap in how rare those weapons are or how expensive they are, and maybe then the grands will have a little more viability. It would be nice if they were more top tier buildings at the grand size.
Mm-hmm. Eliminate our final thoughts before we get to the video.
It's just interesting that of the grand buildings that are top tier, none of them are actual crafting buildings. Like a cemetery is not craft. Granary and storehouse are just storage. Taverns, I guess you could call them crafting, or at least partially. But in general, the Majestics, which are quite rare, and then the Larges, which are going to be sought after, are pretty much all the top tier for crafting.
Great observation. Let's get to the video.
Let's do this. Time to go on a little walk.
So we're starting off here, as you can see, going from the Prince, and it starts down, leaving from the village of the Baron, down the side of a mountain. So on the way up to the Baron, we came from the town of the Marquis, and that was through that blizzard, if you guys remember. And this time we're going down the other side, which is almost equidistant from the town of the Prince. And this one here is a little more a simple, relaxing stroll. We go literally through the rocks, so kind of like almost like a little through a cave here. And we got a nice view of the biome. So we're switching here from a mountainous biome where you see the snow, and we're going into down into a black forest.
I'm excited for winter biomes in Mirandus. I really like the winter vibe. Must be my Canadian heritage.
I really like the way the Baron looks with the snow on it. It's really nice looking deed. You see it kind of changing over here. It's quite the group we got for this video.
One of the things that I think that Valheim does really well is the shifts from biome to biome. It just really feels natural.
Yeah, it's very smooth, very seamless. We can see a few other things here. We can find some, as you're trekking through the wilderness, you're going to find these various kind of points of interest. So here we see like a little flame, and that has a mob associated with it. Virtual decides to take a little detour to murder some deer. That there is called a searchling, that little flaming looking guy. And in this particular game, they drop cores, and cores can be used to build portals. And as we know in Mirandus, everything is a portal, so they'll probably be quite useful to find. Yeah, so we're just continuing on here. We'll decide to take a little trek.
Yeah.
And we come across another troll.
These trolls are everywhere.
Yeah, the trolls everywhere. Grill goes in for the block, which stuns them to give you a critical damage bonus. I throw up a shield because it looks like someone's taken some damage. Quite a bit of damage, actually, so I reapply that shield. And we make short work of the troll, significantly over-geared at this point in view, and we just continue on like it was, nothing. Grab a few troll skins, maybe throw on, make some troll armor, troll cape. And we go towards the town of the Prince.
There was that spawner in the background there, but it's like right after we killed the troll.
So we're coming up to the town of the Prince, and you can see where the view changes from kind of the nice clear to a thunderstorm. And we're coming across the bridge here, which kind of has, the aqueduct style. Now you see the headlamps, which are important. And the illumination from them is almost identical to the illumination style from the Lantern of the Sun. You kind of see a really good view from it there with Van in the background shooting out. And it looks kind of like a flashlight, right? And that's really what we're trying to express here.
Oh, you see it on the left there as well, or on the right.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're coming into the town of the Prince, and something I really like here, you see the reflection of the light off of the windows from the lightning strikes, and kind of adds kind of to the kind of the mystique and how grand this particular deed is, coming up with these large walls, these towering buildings and such in this particular environment.
The lighting in this game is fantastic. Go ahead.
You can just get the sense of the immense size of the Prince just walking around it. I mean, it's huge.
So we're coming up to the actual entranceway here, and as you can see, there's a couple of deers out in front here, but we decided to leave them alone. I guess we murdered enough deers on the way. And this is kind of like the check-in area of the town of the Prince, and we quickly switch over to the billboard, which, as we've had on previous deeds, describes the size of the house, the various kind of plots, the number of the plots, farming, ranching, decorative, and of course the two grand plots that we've seen before. And on this particular billboard, there's one thing I've noticed that none of my other videos had. So I added, you'll see once we get up here, is that I actually have a look at how this was constructed. So as you can see here, the way that this was constructed, you can see how the stone there is laid out. Now, there's one item within Valheim that's unique that, for whatever reason, floats, but only if you build it into itself. And that's how I built some of these really tall structures that were exceeding the build limit, and also how I built all these billboards as well. So we'll continue on to view the deed itself from the overhead view. And as you can see, it's quite an immense size. And when we're coming down here, if you look at the very bottom of the stone, you can see how the stone changes its visual aspect. And the reason for that is due to the loading. So there's so much in this area that not everything can load at the same time. Like you see at the distance, the walls disappear, right? It kind of gives you an idea of like just how large this deed is, which isn't something you've noticed on the previous deeds.
That, and when we do all this terraforming, it also kind of makes things a lot slower to load in.
So here's the actual entrance to the main entrance to the town of the Prince, and we're coming up to the general area of the 12 5x5s, kind of little like marketplace, and it has all your typical buildings. You have your armor stand, you have a little like a simple forge, you have a outfitter or simple outfitter, jewelry stand, potion stand, and a weapon stand.
I was in the wrong shop there.
Yeah, you should always be at one of those shops, girl.
Wasn't in the armor was next door. I think I gave up the armor life.
A little milking stand with a little different design from the other ones. You have a meat stand and you have a simple storehouse. And this is coming up to a bakery, a 10x10 bakery with the same design as what you saw in the farming hamlet. Selling bread, you have multiple different stone ovens. We come into a butchery, which is showing the upgraded crafting station for the butchery, a little sales area, which is a little different from the other butchery designs with the exception of the large butchery, and plenty of materials and tools and stuff for which to craft.
I don't look like I'm a very good cook. That meat looks pretty burnt.
Yeah. So we're coming around the back part here to our next building, which is the brewery. Nice 10x10 brewery, very similar to what we've seen in, say, the Village of the Viscount. And as for the Village of the Viscount, Virtual has chosen the exact same seat. He's quite a connoisseur brewer, I guess. And we have a dairy, lots of milking stand places there, in addition to, again, a different design from what you've seen in other dairies, simply because of the layout of the other buildings close to it. Next, you have a jeweler, which we've seen in previous deeds. Nothing additionally special here. The jewelry items, crafting abilities, enchanting abilities. Most importantly, though, we're coming into the first of our large buildings, which is the large woodshop. And the large woodshop has multiple wood stands, which are fully tiered. It has all of the supply of all the different kinds of wood, and it has literally every single type of wood-based product that you can see.
Yeah, it's even got some of the decorations along the wall there. I gave up the armor life. I gave up the cooking life. Now I work at the wood shop. I didn't look particularly interested in that, though. I was like leaning over.
And we go past the potion shop. Typically, I have the potion shops and jewelers near each other, simply because they're both kind of crafting shops and they're also of the same rarity. So, this is kind of the upscale area of town, right along the main thoroughfare, right next to the Vox Statues, which we'll see here.
Like Fifth Avenue.
Yeah, exactly.
Rodeo Drive. Right? You see the Vox Statues there on the right.
So that's the troll with the tongue out.
Yeah, we'll get to those.
This is the large archery, which is similar to the other archeries, just bigger. There's nothing particularly special about this. As Grill alluded to, there's not a lot of different range weapons in Valheim. And in terms of Mirandus, there's only 3 different range weapons as of yet. The short bow, long bow, and champion bow. So I'm sure there'll be plenty more come launch, but that's what we have to work with at the present.
I do like the counter design, though. It has nothing to do with archery. I do like the counter design in this one. There you go. Pluck that up. Thought you were going to pluck that off the wall there for a second.
Yeah, and here we have a dragon, the Dragon Vox. So Benefactor owns one. There's another, Gal executive or insider that owns one, and then Gemini, who's an OG from Gala, owns the last one. His one, I think, is the green dragon, if I'm not mistaken. And then we have the Minotaur Classic, and as we alluded to, this was based off of Zeta's design, so it's literally as close to accurate representation of that particular box as possible. And going into the large Stonecraft shop, very similar to other Stonecraft shops, just with additional crafting stations, higher tier crafting stations, the ability to fine-tune some of the more detailed items. And we go up to the top floor, and the top floor shows literally every different kind of stone within Valheim, both black marble and traditional stone. So, if you're wondering how this was built, everything was built with what you just saw in those particular stone pieces. And we're coming out of the Stonecraft shop, and we're heading to the left side of the deed, and we have an outfitter here. Virtual working the spinning wheel, adding some flax to produce some linen threads.
They've been busy in all the deeds.
Grinding hard, baby.
Punch and Van, don't like its prices.
No. And we go across to the large tannery. And the large tannery has a selection of all the different types of skins within the game and all the different tannery-based workbenches, and all of which are top tier.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot of those in Valheim, but
yeah, it's quite limited. And with all the deeds, we also have a forge. Certainly, as Town of the Prince, you would expect to have a 10x10 forge at a bare minimum. Ideally, a large or potentially a grand forge would be optimal. And here's the pig. We're coming in here. It's called the Grand Inn. And we have the various food. Looks like we have some various kinds of soups.
Yeah, looking good.
Nice little entranceway.
This is the regional specialty of the. Is that onion soup, or is that something else?
I think it is onion soup. I'm not 100% sure though. And we got a little. Oh, we're just going to jump over. So we have an entrance. Just go through there. Got the little cubby holes like you typically see in hotels and such. The fire is not lit very well because of the rain is kind of dousing it.
Yeah, so it was lit before when we first came in, right? Come upstairs.
Yeah. So there's 4 different rooms in this particular one. They're all of different designs, different costs. You want to get a little bit of hit points, you want to get a whole lot of hit points. There's options for you.
Yeah.
But anyone who's anyone is going to be in this one, right? This is the grand suite of the Grand Inn. But you got to light that thing up.
No one wants a cold hot tub, right?
Yeah. Jump in, Virtual. Come on in. Don't be afraid.
He was waiting for it to warm up a little bit. He didn't like the cold water.
Yeah, sit down. Look, Van's already stripping off.
Yeah.
You also see in the background the thunder and all the rain, or the lightning and the rain and such as well. So now it says we're getting the rested buff, so that restocked our rested buff, give us some stamina. Just enough stamina to view the rest of the Grand Inn and potentially head to the tavern.
Yeah, well, nothing says I'm resting like a tiny tub full of men.
Yeah, and look at Grill just watching the storm here, waiting to get to clear up so he can probably head out on his horse, maybe do some adventuring.
Yeah, get me a few trolls.
And here's kind of the basic of the basic. For those that can't afford the luxury, they can still have a nice, comfortable place to rest and restore their hit points. So I'm venturing out into the rain, having a good view of the prince's home, which you can see is quite the sight. Nice view of the back of all the Vox statues to kind of give it a good idea of the area. On the left here, we have the Grand Tavern. So the Grand Tavern is certainly a significant step up from what we've seen of the 10x10 taverns. None of these builds have a large tavern, so this is a big step up, to say the least.
Virtual in his usual spot. Oh, looks like I'm going to dish out some beer.
Yeah.
There you go. Waving to the customers. I think I found my true calling, finally.
I'm thirsty.
After all these different shops, you found it?
Settled myself into a Grand Tavern. Top tier only, okay?
Look at all that storage with all those barrels there. And we got a nice little sitting area here up here for some good food and all kinds of different foods.
Oh, yeah.
We got some porridge, we got some soup, we got some extra various different kinds of ales. You can look down at the people down below dancing, probably playing some games, maybe drinking, potentially jumping in the fire, whatever works for you. So, they have it at the Grand Tavern.
Long song playing a tune.
Yeah, we'll probably have Jesse on his long
That's
song.
right. There you go. Well, it's popular, this place. I mean, it is the Grand Tavern, right?
Yeah, it's almost getting to the point of standing room only in places. Playing like musical seats here, mixing one meal from the next. We also have some omelet, and looks like we have some the fish meals as well. So significant selection of a little bit of everything.
Well, it's literally a fish on the table. I like it.
Yeah, it's like a big fish head. So the next thing up is the prince, the actual prince himself. So there's 3 entranceways here. The best thing is to divide and conquer. If we're gonna go see
That's
the prince, we gotta kind of trick him by attacking from every angle, right? So I'll just wait here to make sure everyone's in position and enter, and here we go.
Well, looks like, I guess Virtual's buying the prince then.
You're buying the prince, Virtual. Smart
Working on
man,
it.
smart man.
Mm-hmm.
So as you can see, a nice view of all the prints. You can see the light from the deer Vox statue in the background there as well. Entranceways here. This is one from the left side and across to the other side on the right. Looks like they're paying homage to the future prince there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to head up the winding staircase here, which I really like the look of these winding staircases.
Those are newer too, right?
They are, yeah. And then we have a little cartography table. Again, you can see the deer in the background with the antlers and the eyes glowing, which is really quite nice. Lots of space within the prints. Not a lot of space to do things with because of all the different windows and balconies and fireplaces and everything of that nature, but nonetheless, still very nice. Here's the hot tub. Nobody wants to join. Yeah, it's in the back. It's got its own little awning, and it even has a nice little window and stuff overlooking.
I think you guys are hot tubbed out.
So here's kind of little farming section, which is kind of broken off from the rest of the deed, which isn't something that you see on any of the other deeds. They're usually kind of within the deed itself. This here is almost like in a different section of it. And you have a nice view of the deer, the buck, which is one of my favorite looking boxes. Well, very majestic kind of look to it.
Yeah, I like the deer. But I agree. It's kind of odd that they put this big giant decorative plot behind the house in the middle of the farming area.
Yeah, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Gotta put like a chicken box or a cow box there or something.
And the basic 5x5s. The prince doesn't have any of the minor things, but we're ranching, wolves. We're producing all the highest tier foods and stuff as well. And here my energy was starting to get low, so I had to restock my food, which is something hopefully you see a lot in Mirandus within the M.O.M guild. I also have a quick little look around within the thunderstorm here to see kind of the nighttime lighting, which is really quite fancy in the Vox.
Yeah. Dusk in this game looks very good in particular, just because the lighting starts to stand out and it's not so dark that you can't see everything.
Exactly. So as you can see, this is quite a large deed.
Oh, it's like ridiculous.
Yeah. It's still kind of tiny compared to the Archduke, which is coming up next, but this is, like I said, my favorite deed. Very, very nice in all regards.
So yeah, we're going to be back with Grill's Archduke and Aaelim. We're not done, right? You're actually going to recreate some of the citadels. Is that correct?
Oh, I plan to recreate all the citadels. There's no holding back here, that's for sure.
Can't stop now.
There you go. So make sure you tune in. We'll be, again, revealing the Archduke next, and we'll also be revealing some of the playtest footage, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Join us at mastersofmaterium.com. Click the link, join our Discord, and then join the guild. We are open for business. We want you to join us and help us dominate the game of Mirandus. Thank you so much.